Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year when drafters are drafting and kickers are kicking and people are getting injured everywhere. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right. NFL season is almost upon us. Oh, it's going to be glorious.
Yes, this is your first official football podcast for 2024. Well, technically we did the Super Bowl and all that crap earlier when it was cold and snowy and icy.
Off the previous season.
But we're still here late in the summer months. We're getting ready, prepared for the 24-25 season here on Sports Frenzy 2.0, your favorite sports commentary podcast, politically incorrect as always. This is your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
The maestro, Kevin Crane.
So, we had a little bit of college football to really start things off, but we'll get to that later because we have our official Week One predictions, our overall season predictions for college football now with the new setup with the 12-team playoff.
We're still only picking the final four.
Yep, and then we've got, this is like the Raiders. I still sometimes call them the Oakland Raiders. Cleveland, I still call them the Cleveland Indians.
The Chargers are still the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, so I'm still looking at the schedule as I'm putting together our slate of picks, or I'm looking at what's coming up, and I go, oh, UCLA is playing a Big Ten team this week.
Oh, wait, UCLA is now in the Big Ten.
I just can't get used to that yet. I just cannot.
It's gonna be a while.
But first, this is our final warm-up week for the NFL. Next week, of course, our full season prediction slate and Week 1 of all NFL picks. But you guys know, you fantasy football fanatics out there know, this is the time of the year where you draft. You draft in your leagues that matter with your work friends, with your best friends, playing for money, playing for spite, playing for fun. Sports Frenzy, once again, we have our draft done. Just 2 days ago, we're taping here on August the 28th. The 2024 Sports Frenzy Fantasy Football Draft occurred on August the 26th. And we're trying to temper expectations based on, we run ours through Yahoo. Yahoo likes to grade everybody.
And demean.
And then, of course, our Sports Frenzy West commissioner likes to degrade and demean everybody, sending out his ridiculous spreadsheets, trying to tell everybody how wonderful his draft was compared to everybody else.
Made zero sense the way he did it.
Right. So we'll let you decide. Drop us a comment if you would like. Dave and I will highlight what happened here in our 8-team. Yes, I know, 8 teams.
Blah, blah.
A lot of you diehards out there, oh, it's lame. You got to have at least 10 teams. We deal with what we can deal with.
We've got 8 solid people we can rely on. We've had too many other people flake out on us.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
8-team, 15-round draft. 1-point PPR. Other than that, the usual suspects. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, tight end, flex, not super flex, kicker, defense, 6 bench players. You are not required beyond the starting lineup. You can draft whoever you want. You don't have to have a backup quarterback. You don't have to have a backup tight end. But you do have to fill a starting lineup in this draft. So we will do the first round. Definitely will let you know what happened in our first round. The juggler, Nick, got the first pick, of course. The consensus number 1 pick, Christian McCaffrey. Falls right into the lap of the juggler. Aaron, the Big Easy, number 2, kind of screwed me a little bit, but that's fine. I wanted either who he took or who I got. He took Bijan Robinson, running back Atlanta. Luckily, Monday, CeeDee Lamb signed his extension with the Cowboys, so I rolled the dice. I took CeeDee Lamb at 3. Dave was up next.
I went with 4, and he worked out so well for me last year. I had to bring him back. Still one of the upper running backs, Isaiah Pacheco from Kansas City.
Yeah, and a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, I mentioned Yahoo graded our draft because we run everything through them. Dave got an awful grade, but keep this in mind. Dave won the Plate of Greatness last year.
Yep, with a mediocre team.
So I don't think Yahoo's grades really reflect
what you're able to do.
Yes. So the defending Sports Frenzy Fantasy Football champion getting a low grade from Yahoo. I don't buy into it. I don't put any stock into it whatsoever.
Yep. Then Bill went at number 5, taking Tyreek Hill. Sam came in next at 6 with his homer pick for Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's
solid
fine.
pick.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong there.
Doug at number 7, the governor. Kind of surprised he fell this far. Breece Hall, running back for the Jets.
I don't trust him.
Well,
It's the I cannot trust anything with the Jets.
I know, and you and I feel very simpatico about that. I think the Jets have been overhyped and overrated. You know, I listen to a lot of the New York talking heads, and I'm getting sick of it because it's either the Jets are going to the Super Bowl or Aaron Judge is the greatest player ever to walk onto a baseball field. And I literally have had to turn it off the last couple days because it is so pathetic.
That's bad.
And then the final pick in the first round went to Mrs. C.
Yep. She took Indy running back Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, so there was the first round. So you get a little bit of feel for what we're doing there. Otherwise, Dave and I, of course, had to be back-to-back. So
Posing each other left and right.
I, of course, had the 3rd pick. Dave had the 4th pick. Since the picks were snaking, of course, the only fair way to do it, the Serpentine.
Yep.
So I think I got screwed more by you than you got screwed by me. Because there were a couple times when one time at the end, I literally said out loud, Dave! God damn it! But, of course, because this is about Dave and I, we'll focus on that for now.
Yeah, there we go.
In the 6th round, I was going back and forth between who I wanted as a skill position player. I'd already had 2 running backs drafted. Tight end, yes, I jumped out in round 4. I took Sam Laporta. That's one of those situations where I just want to plug and play. As long as he doesn't get hurt, all but 1 week of my season, I've got my tight end. But then we go a couple rounds later. I'm looking for a second wide receiver. And, of course, Dave and I, being of like mind, because geniuses think alike.
Yep. Ha. Got you by 1 taking Nico Collins.
And I didn't get a bad consolation prize, but the problem is, looking later on, to the next time when Dave and I butted heads, 2 rounds later, I don't it's a pet peeve of mine in fantasy football. I don't like stacking players from the same team, and I got hosed in that respect this year. Because I couldn't I got Michael Pittman Jr. in the 6th round, and I could not let that value fall past me.
No.
So I took him. Then 2 rounds later, of course, Dave again has the pick before me as we snake back around.
Yep, so I decided to pull the trigger on my quarterback. Joe Burrow fell that far.
And Dave knows if there is nothing I like more than a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, it is cool Joe Burrow. So, but again, I had to go with the value pick after you took Burrow.
Yep.
And Anthony Richardson has slid all the way back to the 8th round at this point. So I had to take Anthony Richardson, but now I've got Richardson and Pittman.
It's all right. I've got Burrow and Jamar Chase.
I know. I overthink this. A lot of people would say I'm nutsy cuckoo crazy. Don't overthink
You
it.
kind of want your quarterback and his top receiver.
But if they both have bad games,
Then
you're
you're
done.
hosed.
You're lost. You've lost the week. That's my concern. Is I would rather hedge my bet and say, okay, if the quarterback has a bad week, at least the wide receiver on a different team could have a stellar week.
Yeah.
Vice versa. So then we go through the two other times he got me late in the draft. Round 11, when we were looking at backup quarterbacks. Now I'm trying to think here. Was that snaking? That was again.
But
you got it before
Richardson, you took T. Higgins, but I didn't want another, which was a good
both
thing. But I
Bengals
didn't
wide
need
receivers.
both Bengals wide receivers.
Right, and
so
I get
that
that
wouldn't
completely.
have been a good thing.
Yeah. No, again, T. Higgins in the 9th round, again, to me, a big value pick. And Rashee Rice in the 10th. I loved getting him in the 10th. That's why everybody laughed at me. 2 top kickers off the board at this point. I know, everybody, you don't draft a kicker until 14th round, defense 15th round. But Brandon Aubrey is kicking 60-plus yard field goals for the Cowboys. I didn't have a great feel at that time for any other player. So I took Brandon Aubrey. But the next round, again, came back through you first.
Coming up, backup quarterback time.
Yep.
So I jumped to grab Brock Purdy.
And again, I cannot believe Brock Purdy lasted until the 12th round. Yeah. Unbelievable. And so I had to, again, do the double up because the last, in my opinion, really good quarterback on the board was Dak Prescott. So now I have Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb along with Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman Jr. But luckily, I've got Higgins, I've got Rice, who I can slot in. Because, by the way, in addition to CeeDee Lamb, somehow in the 2nd round, I got Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Cannot believe he lasted all the way to me late in the 2nd round. So I'm set at wide receiver.
But he doesn't have anybody to throw him the ball.
I still think he's going to get 100 receptions this year. Easy. Yeah, Sam Darnold is not the best option.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that. And by the way,
so that's
hate to rain on your parade, but Jamar Chase decided, no, I'm not going to report to camp today.
That son of a bitch.
So he's backed off. A couple days ago, it was looking nice and cool that he was. I'm doing a hold in.
Fine, he was hold in, and now he's being a douchebag.
Now he's out again.
You son of a bitch.
And the thing with him is
that alright, I'll bench his ass and throw Drake London in there.
He's pushing things when he shouldn't. Next year is when he's.
Next year he should.
He's trying to get an extension 2 years too early.
Yep.
Because they've already picked up the 5th-year option, which is guaranteeing him money for year 5, but he's only through year 3 right now.
Yeah.
Technically, he's got 2 more years on his deal.
Yeah, he's hosing himself now.
All right, then the other place that Dave and I had issues, this is where I yelled at him. Yes.
We get down to the
round 14.
Yes, this is where I took my defense. This is where I decided to take the Jets because they were the best available.
Yes, and even though I've been ragging on the Jets and how they're overhyped and overrated,
they do have a pretty damn good defense.
At some point, it's got to turn around for this defense, and they have got to start creating turnovers.
Yeah.
Especially with a terrible New England team they're going to play twice. Maybe they won't get a lot of points against the Dolphins. We'll see what the Bills are. I worry about the Bills because of the lack of skill position players for Josh Allen. But I wanted the Jets. I did. I was targeting the Jets. I got a decent consolation prize in that right after Dave, I took the Cleveland Browns defense. Neither one of us have great matchups in week one.
No,
this is the problem.
We don't. Our matchups suck.
Yeah, so you've got to go on the road to play the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
And the Browns have got the Dallas Cowboys. So I basically am going to have to play my defense against my number one receiver and my kicker.
Yeah, so you get
the kicker doesn't matter so much, and I definitely not starting Dak Prescott week one.
Yeah. So, and then 15th round, my final pick, I took best available kicker at the time, Tyler Bass.
I didn't mean to give you a hard time about that. I was just looking at my rankings, and they did not have him in the top 15. I am not kickers. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big. Sam takes one where I had to actually write it in.
Yeah.
Because Jake Bates, kicker for the Lions, was not projected when they printed out our draft kit to be a factor. It was supposed to be Badgley. It was supposed to be the kicker for the Lions. So.
And surprisingly, he's only got 2 Lions on his team.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
the kicker and his receiver,
because
St. Brown.
you took David Montgomery. Of course, Sam, the elder statesman, a big Lions fan. His first round pick did go to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and his kicker. So first and last.
Yep, he bookended.
Yep, but you got David Montgomery. Bill got Jahmyr Gibbs. So, and then I got Laporta.
Yeah.
But overall, we usually do a pretty good job. Yes, again, 8-team draft, a lot easier than a 10 or 12 team. And there are people who are going to reach. It always happens. Mrs. C, yes, took the Bears defense first in the 6th round. I don't think that's a terrible pick. I would not have gone that early.
It's too early.
But the Bears is the number one defense. I think they're going to surprise people.
They are going to wind up being a top 6.
I do have them on one of my my test draft teams. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But now I got them back at one of the last couple of rounds too. Yeah. But
yeah,
it's not bad. It's not
horrible.
bad. I need a backup tight end at some point in time. I've got to get a backup tight end. That's the one position where I have no depth. Of course, most of us don't have depth at defense or kicker.
No.
That's going to be...
Some of us usually wind up playing musical kickers and musical defenses anyway.
I don't know with our defenses.
But ours
are we
this
really
year,
going
I don't think I'm going to.
We got 2 of the top 5 defenses.
Yeah, I don't think
I can. Even with the bad matchups in week 1, we're going to have to live with those
to get to
play
where
through.
It's, yeah.
So, Bill's got the 49ers. I always love the 49ers defense. But last year, I drafted them first overall among us. They were okay.
They weren't spectacular.
They didn't blow me out of the water.
No.
So I didn't mind them going. Ravens, of course, always good. Sam got them. Cowboys, they're fine. They're fine.
Okay.
So
Nick got the Chiefs.
Yeah, these are the 2 weakest.
Yeah.
I think
the Chiefs.
Nick and Aaron with the Chiefs and Lions. I'm not sold on the Lions defense being great. They got one good pass rusher.
That's it.
You know, we'll see. The Chiefs play in a weak division. That's the one thing with them. They get the Raiders twice, the Broncos twice, and the Chargers twice. So they'll get a lot of points in those 6 games probably.
Yeah.
Any other shockers jump out to you? Caleb Williams, we had our side bet. We thought Doug would take Caleb Williams early. He did not. Aaron actually took Caleb Williams.
In the 9th?
Yes. Yeah. Aaron went back-to-back. 8th round Kyler Murray, 9th round Caleb Williams. Very, very interesting. See, now when you said you got a bad grade, I thought Aaron got the worst grade from Yahoo.
What did he get?
I thought he was...
D plus and...
Somewhere around, or D.
I was.
Or D, yeah.
And that's not a bad team either.
No, I'll tell you what I don't like about Aaron's team. And I know we're just riffing here, kids, but you know how this goes. with fantasy football. And I hate to rip other people's teams apart. Chris Olave, I had him last year. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. I wouldn't have drafted Chris Olave in the 10th round.
I had a big N next to him.
Yep. Malik Neighbors is
another iffy.
He's a reach to me because he's a rookie with a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
And Aaron's 3 top receivers are 2 rookies and Chris Olave, because he's also got Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I would have taken Marvin Harrison if he'd slipped to me in round 4.
Yeah.
But
and then he's got Terry McLaurin.
now McLaurin could end up being a sneaky good pick.
He could be good.
Who else is Jaden Daniels going to throw to?
Yeah, nobody.
But he doubles up, so he's got the number 1 Commanders receiver and the number 1 Commanders running back. Wow.
Interesting.
And then he's got Chase Brown, who might split time in Cincinnati with Zach Moss. So.
Yeah. And the only reason I took Montgomery, even though they're saying Jamar Gibbs is going to probably get most of the carries.
But he's your 4th running back.
He is my 4th running back.
You went running back heavy. You got 4 running backs in the first 7 rounds.
Yep, wanted to get that knocked out early.
Yeah. Well, no,
Montgomery
I
is going to be.
agree with you completely.
Montgomery is going to be the one to get the touchdowns. He is the tough yardage guy.
And I think Gibbs could get hurt.
Yeah.
But no, you had a great strategy in terms of skill position players in the first 7 rounds. Running backs, wide receivers, that's it.
Yeah, that was what I was going for.
And I was doing the same thing, except I had to take Laporta. When he was hanging out there, I had to take him. But otherwise, I did the same thing you did, and then you and I, of course, with quarterbacks, both
I hosed
drafted
you both times.
Both times. Starter and backup. You and I went back-to-back on that.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and
it's a crapshoot every year.
Yeah, you and I talked about, we were a little bit upset in the 7th round that Bill got C.J. Stroud. I think you and I were both targeting him in the 8th.
Yep.
And if you'd taken him, I'd have taken probably Burrow. And again, people, you were lucky to get Richardson. I don't trust him 100%. I just don't. Now, people will say that about Burrow, too. Both of them have
some injury issues.
Yeah.
So.
Never would have taken. Bill took Matthew Stafford as a backup. I'm hearing people talking about him for MVP this year.
Oh, come on! There's no way! There is no way.
Everybody's in love with the Rams. I don't get it. Doug has got, I have to admit, the most versatile quarterbacks with Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, he does.
A lot of rushing yards there. So, all right, kids. We could talk about this all day, but we
won't bore you any more than we already have.
Yep. I might take a picture of the draft board, post it on the Facebook page. So look out for that here in the next couple days. I don't know if I've ever done that before. If I have, it's been a couple years, so might do that, just so you can have some fun with that. So in the rest of the NFL, of course, the preseason is done. Final preseason games this past weekend. The Bears finish undefeated. I'm getting tired of people not counting the Hall of Fame game. They are 4-0, not 3-0. They're 4-0.
They played 4 games. They're credited with 4 wins.
As they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, 34-21.
And it wasn't even that close.
Now
it just means that the Bears' backups were better than the Chiefs' backups.
I'm kind of surprised about that. Of course, sticking with the Bears here for a few minutes. With the cuts, of course, everybody's cut down now. We're at 53 for all teams. Kind of surprised Bears only go 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering if practice squad time, if they're going to put Austin Reed on there.
Yeah, because I
would not
Rippon's
take
Rippon's probably going to get picked up by somebody else. But I had to do some research
because 10 offensive linemen and 10 defensive linemen.
Well, And here's the thing. I was very confused about the quarterback situation because I remembered that there were discussions about the third quarterback, the emergency quarterback, and how they were going to try to protect the third quarterback so every team had an emergency quarterback.
Right. How does that count?
Right. And I guess the players' union poo-pooed that. So that's why that never went all the way through.
How does the frickin' players' union screw that one up?
So that's why the Bears can get away again with two quarterbacks. Now the Cleveland Browns, right now, down to 53, 4 quarterbacks.
Ouch.
You can't believe that's going to stand. 4 quarterbacks?
You can't go with that. Do they not trust Watson?
Boy, is that not going to end up being the worst signing ever?
And then we can
Because you can't get rid of him?
No. And you know what we can then
It's
say?
fully guaranteed contract.
We fucking told you so that it was a horrible deal.
Unbelievable. Now, we've been watching Hard Knocks. Of course, 5 episodes. 4th episode just aired last night.
Yep.
Dave and I kind of agree. He finished episode 4. I'm probably a third of the way through it. But we do have a couple things we agree upon. Number 1, if we ever have to deal with Tyson Bagent's father ever again,
we are going to puke. The guy is a meathead.
If you guys don't know,
he's excited for his kid, but the guy is just over. You'll like this pun. He's over the top ridiculous.
Yes, of course, that is because he is a world-class arm wrestler.
Arm wrestling champion. And did you notice they played the damn song from Over the Top?
And the thing is, he doesn't do anything to dispel any kind of a stereotype that you would attach to an arm wrestler. Yeah, he comes off as what you would expect
from an arm wrestler.
The prototypical arm wrestler, meathead to act like.
Ugh.
Yeah, now you were talking about the guys on defense the Bears kept. Guys that we just acquired over the past week. We gave up 2 6th-round picks. 1 to Seattle for Darrell Taylor, and 1 to Cleveland for Chris Williams.
And you know what? I'm fine with both those moves.
Get some depth.
Got some solid players for 6th round who you're probably not going to develop that position anyway.
And at least with Chris Williams, we also got a 7th back, too. So
yeah.
Didn't give up a lot.
No.
Didn't give up a lot. Of course, the Bears now are crowing, oh, look at all of our top picks made the roster. Of course, you can manipulate it any way you want, so I'm not going to sit here and praise the front office because they kept all their draft picks. That's what you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to keep them.
You're supposed to.
That's how it works. And why do we still have Velus Jones, the Ferret King? My God.
Of course, they've been making a big deal on Hard Knocks about the no cursing thing. That is, of course, if you haven't heard, in respect and deference to the McCaskey family, they're very strict about that type of stuff.
Yep. This has been such a watered-down Hard Knocks. There was a fight that broke out during camp, during practice, that they edited it out. They just showed it beginning and then moved on. It's like, no, let's see the passion the guys are bringing it against each other.
All I know is let's get this out of the way. We got 1 more episode left, and then we don't have to do this crap for a long time.
Yes, amen.
Because the Bears did avoid this for a long, long time.
Yeah, and with the number 1 overall pick, there was no way they were not going to be able to avoid it this year.
All right, now, kids, we are not politically correct here. I'm warning you now because I'm going to say something that's going to get a lot of people mad at me. Won't be the first time.
Won't be the last.
Won't be the last. I am not a fan of women coaches. I am not a fan of female coaches coaching men. I just am not. They have not played the sport at the same level, with the same intensity, if at all, that the men have. And watching the running backs and watching assistant running backs coach Jennifer King, oh my God, she's a walking Hallmark card. Number one, she is heavy. She is a heavy, heavy woman. And I would like to know what qualifies her
To be a running backs coach?
ahead of former running backs who've played in the NFL, who I'm sure are looking for jobs. And all she was telling, was it Booker? They had her and
Wheeler.
Wheeler. And she's just giving him all these platitudes about, you just keep trying hard. You just don't get injured because you can't have any impact if you're injured. And I'm like, oh my God! Can we stop with this shit already?
And how much of that is what the Bears edited into?
I'm sorry. I don't like it. I don't care what the hashtag #MeToo movement says about me. I am not going to accept a female head coach telling me at that level how to run, how to block, how to catch. She's never even come close to doing it on any level that I have at that point.
I'm not disagreeing
If
with
I've
you.
gone through high school at a high level, college football at a high level, and I'm now trying out for a pro team, when has she ever experienced anything close to what I am experiencing right now?
I'm not disagreeing.
Now, not talking about me, of course, but I'm just talking about
In general.
these guys in camp.
Yeah.
Seriously, are they not sitting there in their minds going, what is this fat woman doing telling me how to be a running back in the NFL? And she could be the nicest human being in the world, and she seems like she's very nice. But I don't know how that qualifies her unless it's DEI rearing its ugly head as a coach at any level in the NFL. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. A female basketball coach makes more sense to me. Becky Hammon, I know she knows the game. And eventually down the road, a lot of these WNBA players
Are
now
going to be coaches.
Right, Diana Taurasi, as much as I hate her lesbian ass, she will end up being a head coach someday if she wants to be.
Yeah, either in the WNBA or at the collegiate level.
But at least the basketball situation isn't apples to oranges or apples to fucking onions, as in football. These women coaches have never come close to experiencing the physical collisions that the men have.
Yeah, but you've got male coaches around the leagues who have never played the game themselves, too.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And I know they got Andy Reid out there. He's a big fat tub of goo looking for nuggies.
You just never know.
You're always going to be the one to poo-poo me when I get politically
We have
incorrect.
to balance.
I
said I don't disagree with you with her. What qualifies her to be in? But
Football
maybe
is-
it's the entry level to learn at that point.
But then she's taking a job away from somebody more qualified. That's my point.
But can some of the running backs, former players that they may have interviewed, coherently understood how to communicate?
You can't tell me there's not another guy out there who used to run in college at least, if not the pro level.
Oh, I'm not saying there isn't.
And again, it's the sport I'm dealing with here. Football is unique in that respect. Basketball, men and women both play. Even baseball, I can understand to a certain extent a female understanding the game of baseball. But football, come on. Come on.
There you go.
Can't deal with it. Not going to deal with it. Can't do it.
Nagada.
All right, unfortunately, in one of the episodes of Hard Knocks we watched Defensive back Douglas Coleman III had a very serious injury. And I believe he was put on IR, basically waived. The front office parlance, how they say this, he is maybe an injury settlement deal, I guess. I don't know. But he's done for the year. Yeah. I guess they'll pay him whatever they needed to pay him for being in training camp.
Yeah, I'm. You need to finish the 4th episode for how it ends.
Oh, he comes back, that whole thing?
Well, no, but there's another situation.
Okay.
With an IR. There's another IR situation.
Okay.
That will bring into discussion.
All right, speaking of injury news around the league, the big injuries. Dallas cornerback Deron Bland, broken foot. He is out 6 to 8 weeks, so that Dallas Cowboys defense gets weakened. And then a couple big names who will stay on the PUP list when the season starts, which means they will not be available for at least the first 4 weeks, if not later on.
Gee, Odell Beckham Jr. for the Dolphins. There's a frickin' shock.
Oh, man.
Said nobody ever. I don't know why they bothered with that signing. He is friggin' useless.
He's in some commercial now, too. I see, this is what I don't get. All you have to have is, again, your 15 moments of fame. And you get to live on in perpetuity forever. Yeah. What the hell has Odell Beckham done outside of 1 year with the Giants?
Nothing.
And he has
been useless.
Contract after contract after contract. He's still in television commercials where they act like he's relevant.
Yeah, it's just bad. Bad.
Now, for fantasy football purposes, Nick Chubb will be out at least the first 4 games of the season. So, like me, if you're smart, you snatch up Jerome Ford, who will be the unquestioned lead running back for the Browns at least for the first 4 weeks, if not longer. And then, tight end depth chart. I mean, everybody pretty much knew it, but it stinks. Would have added another little bit of intrigue. A healthy T.J. Hawkinson would have been cool to throw in there. That would have
been fun.
Despite the fact it's Sam Darnold throwing him the ball. But T.J. Hawkinson, another one who probably will not play beyond the first 4 weeks. So Chubb and Hawkinson, I think you're looking at least half a season.
At minimum. Coming off those knee injuries.
Yeah.
So, all right, we talked Bears practice squad a little bit. I have them right here. And yes, they did sign Austin Reed to the practice squad.
Well, that makes sense. It does make sense. Because I don't think anybody will poach him.
No, not at all. So, there you go. Oh, they kept the Canadian Eagle. Theo Benedict.
That's another Hard Knocks reference, kids. That one you have to see. We can't do that any justice.
No. This is a full-on visual. You have to watch Hard Knocks.
I think that was the first episode.
I believe it was.
All right, wrapping up the NFL here. The Dolphins are 2 teams. Are 2 other teams.
The Dolphins and the Buccaneers.
Finished off the preseason down in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers won over the Dolphins 24-14. For what it's worth.
Yeah.
Dolphins cut quarterback Mike White, so looks like, are they going with 2 also?
I believe they are.
What, Tua and Skylar Thompson, I believe?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why the cuts, from what I could tell, there were no big shocking cuts to me around the league where everybody got down to 53. Kadarius Toney got cut by the Chiefs. Kadarius Toney cares about Kadarius Toney.
He has been absolutely useless since he was drafted.
Yes, he showed up in the Super Bowl, but
that's been it. Otherwise, he is a non-factor
He
most
cares
of the
more
time.
about his brand. Yes, he's one of those players who cares more about his brand than he does about the team. Russell Wilson has been named the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think is the right call because it's easier to go from Wilson to Fields
than to try and go from Fields back to Wilson.
Yep. Because Wilson will act all butthurt, if he's on the bench to start the season.
Yeah, it's just bad.
The Commanders. We mentioned when we were going through our fantasy draft about Terry McLaurin and how he's the unquestioned number one target for Jaden Daniels because Commanders traded draft bust from a few years ago wide receiver Jahan Dotson to the Eagles for 3 draft picks. Kind of surprising that the Eagles, after they just signed A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to long-term extensions, would give up 3 picks for a marginal third receiver.
It doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense.
Plus you got Dallas Goedert at tight end.
Yeah, so what?
Yeah, I
don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it at all.
We've seen since the second half of last year, the Eagles have been kind of a very odd, questionable organization. Let's put it that way.
Yes, they have, and that is why people are on the hot seat in Philly.
Yep. I don't know where the Chiefs get the money.
They just keep printing it in the back room.
But now they have the highest paid center in NFL history as Creed Humphrey signs a 4-year, $72 million extension. Again, these leagues, I don't care if it's just the NFL, I don't care if it's baseball with Shohei.
Kick it on down the line.
Yeah. They figure out a way to manipulate these contracts. We don't want our top teams, the Dodgers, the Chiefs, the Yankees. We don't want them to have any down years because that'll hurt our ratings.
Yeah, how about you make them actually draft and develop instead of just poaching and buying?
And of course, we mentioned CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, $136 million deal signed this past Monday, $100 million guaranteed, second most ever, I believe, for a non-quarterback. Couldn't quite get the Justin Jefferson money. I have got the 2 highest paid receivers in history on my fantasy team. A lot of fucking good that does me. Now produce. Now you 2 idiots need to produce.
Yeah, now they have to produce. And I would trust Jefferson more than Lamb.
I think Lamb's going to get off to a slow start. Especially
because he sat out because he was an idiot.
He is playing one of the better defenses. My defense.
Yeah, but he sat out.
He's going to have to get in game shape.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody rationalizing it and saying, oh, these guys in their off-season programs, in the limited practice they have, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter.
No, because it takes 2 to 3. Actually, we saw last year, it takes 3 to 4 weeks for these guys to get up into game shape because nobody plays in the preseason.
Well, just because
they have such shortened practice time.
Just because he's been working out doesn't mean he has the connection back with Dak Prescott.
Right. They have not done anything together.
Yep. And I don't know how to feel about this. Last little note I've got in the NFL before we move on. Private equity firms will now be allowed limited franchise ownership stakes. Private equity firms will now be allowed to own up to 10% of NFL teams.
So China can now buy into teams, the Saudis can now buy into teams, the North Koreans, South Koreans, the Russian oligarchs. Sure, fuck it all up.
Hate to say it, but that's kind of how I look at it. Hate to say it. All right, so we're sticking with football here as we continue with this extra special, bonus, extra long episode of Sports Frenzy 2.0 because we're getting into football season, and we have got to, over the next couple weeks, get all our predictions in as well as our picks for the games.
The tiebreaker predictions are so key.
So there's really not a lot in terms of storylines with NCAA football yet, but that's because this coming Saturday, after you listen to the Saturday Morning Hangover Cure, the weekend edition, you will be watching college football nonstop from noon until 2 in the morning with a break to watch at some point the Bash in Berlin, WWE.
There you go.
That's my Saturday for you.
Yes, because you know where you can find the Saturday Morning Hangover Cure, your politically incorrect pop culture commentary. Same place you find the sports on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Of course, that is also known as iHeartRadio. We're trying to add some more platforms, but we're not having a lot of fun. There's some new company out there called Good Pods, but that interface is not working yet. We're going to keep trying, and then we're going to try to put the podcast directly onto YouTube. But you have to send them a vial of your blood, a quart of your sperm. You know, you have a retinal scan. Your left nut, a retinal scan. You have to give them your firstborn. I mean, seriously, it's amazing to me.
It's ridiculous what they want to verify your identity.
Yeah, so we're still debating whether or not we're going to...
Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
We're going to move the podcast over to YouTube. Just not comfortable with some of the qualities, the qualifications, the requisite things you have to give them, like a photo ID. You're
not getting a copy of my photo ID.
I'm not giving YouTube or Google a copy of my driver's license.
No, not going to happen.
So, all right, college football. The two stories from the past week we do have before we talk about our season predictions and our picks for week 1. Yes, we know week 0 happened, and that included the... Every year, I cannot say this without thinking I'm saying something unbelievably dirty. The Aer Lingus Classic over in Dublin, Ireland. I mean, literally, Aer Lingus sounds like a sex act.
It does. But that is the name of the stadium.
Because you got cunnilingus, so...
Yeah, analingus.
See, that's really close. Yeah, that's...
Aer Lingus is really...
Yeah, so is that the in-between part? What is that?
There you go.
I don't know. Anyway, the Aer Lingus. And I can't believe somebody actually named an airline Aer Lingus. It has commercials.
Lingus has a different connotation somewhere else.
Again, this happened over in Dublin, Ireland this past Saturday. And we have our first upset.
Yep. The Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech on a late field goal upsets the Seminoles.
Yep, number 10 Florida State goes down 24-21. And even though the playoff field is now expanded to 12 teams, this is, to me, a devastating loss.
This hurts.
For the Seminoles.
This hurts.
Because they did not expect to lose this one. Now, given the rest of the schedule they're going to have to go through, you know, you can probably get away with 2 losses.
And
three, you might not make it.
And they want to move out of the ACC into the SEC? Are they out of their fucking minds?
Well, we're already down to 4. It's not the Power 5 anymore. It's the Power 4. Unless you and I, of course, were running things like we should be.
And then it would be the Power 6.
Well, we would at least have the Mountain West and the 2 teams left in the Pac-12.
Be the new Pac-12.
Right. So then at least we'd get back to the Power 5. And we wouldn't dismiss these other schools, the mid-majors.
No, not at all.
Like the CFP is doing. And we would tell the ACC, we would tell Florida State and Clemson and Miami, just keep your asses where you are.
We would break up the SEC. We would break up the Big Ten.
And the Big 12. There's too many teams in those 3.
Yeah.
Way too many teams.
It's stupid. stupid that they're all beating up on each other. It makes zero sense.
And when we get to our predictions, I think you'll see, at least with Dave and I, how we are being very cynical about our picks in terms of the final four teams left once we get to the down and dirty, the nitty gritty in this new 12-team playoff format. But now the other thing we want to discuss before we get to that is we've got Michigan under investigation, of course, and then Kirk Ferentz and one of his assistant coaches get suspended for a game, and you know they're going to pick a cupcake game at the beginning of the season.
That doesn't mean anything.
For a 2022 recruiting violation. You want to talk about the wheels of justice grinding slowly.
That is absolutely ridiculous that it takes that damn long.
And Iowa actually might have the best team they've had in quite a while this year. And that barely gets them in the top 25. Again, because of the new setup. And if you had not listened over the last few weeks, Dave and I already discussed the fact that the coaches poll and the AP polls, not a single team in the top 25 that's not in the Power Four.
Yep.
That's terrible. That's terrible. And that's sign number one that this is not going to work. Just not going to work.
Everybody's focusing on that.
Yep.
Well, no, the lone team is Notre Dame.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
But still, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. There should be no preseason polls, period, end of story. No rankings should come out at all until at least week 5.
And I know you have been preaching that for years and years. I'm starting to hear some more people jump in on that in the major sports media. It's gaining traction.
I fucking told you so.
You've been saying it for years, if not a decade.
Decades.
Yeah.
I've been saying it since the BCS.
I will attest to that the Conquistador has been on that particular bandwagon for a long, long time. Because it's not fair. It's not fair. You have to work your way up from week 1.
And hope somebody above you drops.
Right.
No, that's stupid.
Like you said, a month and a half minimum. Let's see how they play on the field and then do the first rankings. So there's no bias going in terms of, well, I ranked this team 3rd overall and they haven't looked real good, but they're still undefeated, so I've got to keep them at 3.
Yeah, bullshit.
Even though there might be an undefeated team that you had 8th or 9th.
That's playing lights out.
I had them 8th or 9th, so I don't want to look stupid, so I've got to keep them at 8 or 9.
Idiots and morons running everything there. We have to do it all.
I know. Including predicting the Final Four teams in the college football playoff, as well as the national champion. Our tiebreakers for the Rick Shaggy Brooks Memorial Trophy. Dave and I came close. Close.
We're close. We've got a couple little differences.
But now, we had a run. Everybody on the panel, all 8 of us, I thought we were going to have a run where Georgia was in the Final Four for everybody. And Mrs. C had to screw it up.
Yep.
We do all 8 of us, though, do have Ohio State.
Which could be the best team NIL money can buy. They put together $20 million for this year to entice players to jump into the portal to come play for them.
So all 8 of us have Ohio State in the Final Four. 7 of the 8 of us have Georgia. Now, this is where it gets a little bit mixed up and confusing. We do have the Notre Dame homers here because, of course, we tape this show in northern Indiana. So we've got 3 people with Notre Dame in the Final Four.
Yep. Sam, Jen, and Doug.
Then you and I, of course, being the geniuses we are the only 2
The only two thinking that Lane Kiffin is going to get Ole Miss into the Final Four.
Yep. Now notice something here. Looking across all 8 of our picks, no Alabama.
No.
When was the first time you've ever seen any of us not have Alabama in the Final Four?
New coach. You don't know what he's going to bring in. You don't know what they have set at quarterback. There's so many unknowns with the Tide right now.
And plus, Texas and Oklahoma coming in makes things more difficult for the SEC in terms of schedules. Now, Oregon, I like Oregon a lot. I am joined by Bill, Jen, Nick, and Doug on that one.
Yep, where you took Oregon, I took Texas.
Yep, and you're joined by Sam, Bill, Jen, and Nick and Aaron on that one. So those are the next tier, I think.
Yeah, they're...
Yeah. The stragglers, the outliers, really outside. I mean, we've covered almost every team except for Aaron. Aaron says Clemson will make it. Just like Florida State, they're going to start with 1 loss. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
we're getting to the games in a couple minutes, but so we've covered everybody else.
Yep.
So we're looking at Georgia for everybody but Jen, Ohio State across the board, a lot of Oregon, a lot of Texas, a few Notre Dame, a few Mississippi. The national championship winner. I am going safe. I am going with Georgia. You and Sam.
Nick and Aaron join you with Georgia.
Yep.
Sam and I are taking Ohio State. Again, money. And we don't know what Kirby's going to have. He's lost some folks.
Yep.
Bill, going with Texas. Intriguing. And then Jen and Doug going with Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is 2 years because Leonard Riley is not the quarterback to take them to a national championship.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, I heard a little bit of scuttlebutt during the draft on Monday. Nobody seems to have a lot of faith in Riley Leonard. Nobody.
No.
Nobody. So
it's a stopgap until Carr is ready.
So there you go, kids. There are our predictions for the 2023-20. Well, I didn't change that. 2024-2025.
Yes.
Season. Sorry. Old spreadsheet.
That's what she said.
10 games to start off week 1. Yes, we skipped week 0.
Because there's not enough there to pick.
No. So we start off with Thursday night, August the 29th. ACC versus Big Ten battle.
Yep, North Carolina goes up to Minnesota.
Minnesota, eh?
Yes.
I thought this would be closer.
More of a split.
Yeah, North Carolina favored by 2 as we record.
Only 2 people have jumped for North Carolina.
That would be Sam and Nick.
Yep.
The other 6 panelists, you and I included, all take Minnesota. I liked your logic on this, where you said...
It's North Carolina's going on the road with a new quarterback. What's he going to have? Minnesota's kind of got their team in play.
They're getting back a quarterback who was injured last year, but knows the system.
Yeah. So, at home, early on, there you go.
Ever since Mac Brown took over, I know the North Carolina faithful are fairly happy with him, but very inconsistent, and you can't trust him.
No, not at all.
Nope. Friday night, August the 30th, TCU goes out to the West Coast to play Stanford.
A reeling Stanford team.
I was kind of surprised this point spread was under 10.
I know. So was I. But TCU struggled badly last year as well as Stanford.
They had that national championship hangover, some would say.
Yes. So now all of us think TCU's going to go out to the West Coast and take care of business.
The Horny Frogs.
Yep.
Now we move on to Saturday, the 31st, the final day of August. Start off with number 14, Clemson, at number 1, Georgia.
And it's Georgia across the board, except Mrs. C's going with Clemson. And
we have started another year of football picks as Mrs. C will start doing her contrarian stuff.
Yep.
It'll cash in once in a while.
Every so often.
She'll just never get the Rick Brooks Memorial Trophy.
No, she will not. Now we have number 8, Penn State, going to play West Virginia. We have Penn State across the board, except Mrs. C is taking West Virginia. And that's on principle, because she refuses to acknowledge pedophile state.
Yep. And I do acknowledge and admire her for that. Keep in mind, for those of you who don't know this, we do not pick based on point spreads. This is just straight up for fun.
Yeah.
So do not bet these games.
No, we do not encourage betting in any way, shape, or form.
Especially with point spreads. We're not doing point spreads. That being said, a very close point spread as number 19, the Miami Hurricanes, go down to the swamp, or go up to the swamp.
Go up to the swamp.
Oh, up to the swamp. To play the Florida Gators in Gainesville. Right now, the Canes are favored by 2.5. And I, of course, am the resident Miami Hurricanes fan, but I know what the past 10 to 15 years have wrought for this Miami Hurricanes program. We were promised Mark Richt was going to be the savior.
But
we
you got Richt again.
But we were promised Mario Cristobal was going to be the savior. It's...
Meet the new boss.
Yes, same as the old boss. Shame on me for believing in this team year after year after year. I will not buy into it. I will not drink the Kool-Aid until they prove it to me. Now, Cam Ward, transfer quarterback coming in, sounds phenomenal, but I've heard that bullshit before. I'm still not drinking the Kool-Aid, especially on the road in the hostile environs of the swamp. God help me, I'm taking the Gators.
I am going Oppo. I flipped a coin, and the coin said tails, which meant the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, Sam is with you, and Nick is with you. Everybody else is with me, taking the Gators.
Yep.
5-3 in favor of Florida. You were talking about NIL money with Ohio State. Miami's pretty much right up there with them.
Yeah, but Miami also just lost a ton because one of their big benefactors is filing for bankruptcy.
Right. Yep, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yep. So, who knows what everything holds for that program.
Okay, it's only week 1, but it's time to break out my favorite song when it comes to our picks. I'm an island boy. I'm all by myself on this pick. Island boy. Miami of Ohio playing Northwestern. Northwestern, of course, stadium being redone. So they're playing in a little tiny stadium
tiny bowl
on the banks of Lake Michigan. So who knows what the home field advantage will be. Is there going to be one? I like Miami of Ohio to pull the upset.
There you go. The rest of us sane folks are going with the Wildcats.
It's a 3-point spread, and they get 3 for supposedly being at home, quote unquote.
We'll see.
It's not like a huge...
No,
I'm not
it's
picking
not.
Clemson over Georgia. We'll see. I'm going to get off to a good start here. Jump ahead of you morons.
There you go.
Because we don't have a lot of dissension going forward.
No, there's not a lot.
We got 4 more games left. UNLV at Houston.
It's Houston across the board, except Mrs. C's taking UNLV.
Contrasting styles here. UNLV, running Rebs, they are definitely an up-tempo offense. Houston is turning into more of a
grinded out defensive heavy.
Yep. Notre Dame, number 7, going down to Texas. Stars are bright, deep at night, deep in the heart. I know I botched that. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Yep, playing the Aggies of A&M.
This is wrong. I'm sorry. This is wrong. They have poisoned the water up here in northern Indiana. They have put something in the water.
Because even you are taking Notre Dame.
Oh, come on. How is not one person with A&M favored at home by 3, number 20 Texas A&M?
Because nobody believes in A&M.
This could come back and bite all of us on the ass.
It could, because we're all taking the Irish.
And we just talked about in our predictions for the year how nobody has faith in Riley Leonard as quarterback.
But yet,
you are still living in the past with A&M. That's what worries me. It's not Jimbo Fisher anymore.
To me. The new coach has to prove it.
And what is the current coach, Marcus Freeman, proven to you at Notre Dame? Mediocrity?
A little better than mediocrity.
Wyoming at Arizona State. That was one of the ones where I'm like doing a double take. Arizona State is in the Big 12.
Yeah, I know. And they're playing the Mountain West Wyoming Cowboys.
I don't know if they're...
No, they're not Mountain West. They are...
Mid-American, maybe?
I don't know what the hell they are anymore.
Anyway, Arizona State across the board. They're only favored by 6, but I think if I was a betting man, I would take Arizona State and give up the points.
At home
I'd give up the points. I'd let Wyoming have 6.
Yep, and then the final pick. Number 23 USC at number 13 LSU.
That's on Sunday, September the 1st.
LSU across the board.
How far has USC fallen under Lincoln Riley? Outside of the fact they just supplied us with a fantastic quarterback in the NFL.
His problem is he doesn't do defense. You have got to be able to play defense. You're not going to outscore everybody every week. At some point, he has got to figure that out.
And we talked about how Texas and Oklahoma coming into the SEC makes that a much more difficult path for all of those teams. I think USC and UCLA are in for a rude awakening.
In the Big Ten? Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to get the cakewalk schedule that they had out west.
No, not even close.
And that's why I think the pattern that I had alluded to earlier, now that we've done our picks, going back to our predictions that you and I both bought into, I think rightfully so, and again, it takes some getting used to, is that you and I got 2 SEC teams, 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four.
Yep.
I don't think the ACC can compete. I don't think the Big 12 can compete.
No. No, they're not there.
And this is the flaw with the system, the way it's set up. Because right now, who in the Big 12 scares anybody? Oklahoma State? We love Gundy. We love him.
Yeah, but they're so damn inconsistent.
Yeah. When was the last time they actually finished in the top 6 or 7 in the polls at the end of the year?
It's been a long damn time.
They'll sneak up there, but then they'll fall back.
Yeah, because they will lose a game that they should not have lost.
Right. And the same thing in the ACC. Miami underachieves. Florida State's already lost the game. Clemson refuses to buy into the whole NIL deal. So Dabo Swinney's stubbornness is going to hurt Clemson.
Yep.
And outside of those 3,
There's nothing.
I mean, Georgia Tech looked good for one game.
But they're not going to sustain that.
No, I don't think they have the offense that can really power through a full schedule.
Yeah, Boston College, no.
Yeah, I don't see it.
The Wolfpack, no.
Yeah, and the new additions, Cal and Stanford and SMU. Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
No.
Yeah, so it's going to be a Big Ten SEC throw down, knock down, drag out, battle royale for the title. And it's going to be like that for the foreseeable future until it gets fixed.
Because the system is still broken.
All right, baseball. Dave, how about them White Sox?
Yeah, baby. 31 and 102.
I never thought they would be this bad. I honestly...
They're even worse than I thought they would be. Our buddy Jamie and I, big White Sox fans, he and I both, start of the season, they'll be lucky to win 50. They're not even going to win 40 at this rate. And you thought we were nuts.
Yeah, I know. I thought that the AL Central was going to be weak and they might have a shot to play 500 baseball.
After 100 losses last year, we're going for the record, baby.
Well, technically this past week they became the fastest team to lose 100 games since 1916. The Philadelphia A's.
Yep, so there you go.
Meanwhile, the Chicago Cubs are on fire. On fire.
They are finally over 500 for the first time since, was it May?
Yep. 68 and 66, they are taking advantage of a weak schedule here in the back half of the season. They just swept the Pittsburgh Pirates on a miraculous comeback game today. Christian Betancourt, backup catcher, 7 RBIs. Dave, I did a little math. I'm not just a good-looking hunk. I can actually think and do math. The Cubs catchers, Amaya and Betancourt, over just the last 7 days, 7 games, I just want to give you these numbers. Catchers, 17 of 29. That is a batting average of .586. They have scored 10 runs. Again, 7 days, 7 games. 3 home runs, 21 RBIs in 7 days.
For your catching position.
Yes, between Amaya and Betancourt.
I don't even think they had that many RBIs on the season.
You're probably right. I mean, they finally, council and the front office have finally hit on the combo that they've been looking for with these catchers. Amaya is finally hitting, and then Betancourt bringing him in as a reclamation project. I mean, a magical. This is a game today that I gotta believe he's keeping the ball. He'll keep the bat.
It's all going in the den.
It will go down as his best game as a pro. If not, then I hope the hell we keep him too, along with Amaya. Because yeah, if you can find this kind of magic, even if it's for 7 days, behind the plate with your catcher. I mean, the Royals right now, great run they just had, get themselves back up with the Cleveland Guardians. You look back over the last decade, Salvador Perez.
Yep, he has been the stalwart behind the plate.
Yep, look at Philly, JT Realmuto. You have that catcher who can actually be an offensive force for you. It's like the great tight end in fantasy football. Everybody wants that great tight end to give you that edge, to put you over the top. That's what getting this kind of production from the catcher position does for you.
Yep.
So yeah, the Cubs 68 and 66, now in second place in the NL Central, 8.5 behind the Brewers, but only 5 out of the wild card now. And I had to look it up. Had to. They fell a couple runs short of the record. Cubs put up 41 runs in their 3-game sweep of the Pirates.
Yikes.
From what I could tell, I couldn't get a clear clear answer. I think 44 is the modern era record for
Runs
one
in
team.
a 3-game series.
Yep, one team, how many runs they scored in a 3-game series. Would have been nice to have parceled out these runs.
For the rest of the season.
Gotten back in the DeLorean, traveled back in time, and given us some of those runs earlier in the year when the offense was abysmal.
It's all or nothing, baby.
Yep. In other baseball news, the Mariners on an ungodly awful skid. At one point in time, they had a 10-game lead in the American League West. And they have fallen far behind the Astros, so they fire their longtime manager, Scott Service. They've gotten a little bit better since the firing. Of course, you always kind of expect that bump, except if you're the White Sox.
When it just keeps going... when you're flatlined, baby.
Joey Votto retires. Now, this is a little bit of a debate for Dave and I here for the next minute or so. Do you believe he's a Hall of Famer?
No, I do not.
I don't either.
He is not
But
a Hall
again,
of Famer.
with the standards they have now, they're acting like he's going to be a borderline first ballot Hall of Famer.
He is not a Hall of Famer. Sorry. He was a very good player, but he is not a superstar who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I just don't remember him making that much of an impact. The Reds never won anything.
No, he had a couple of really outstanding seasons, but a lot of decent seasons. So he's a compiler. He's a compiler.
He's like Todd Helton.
Yeah, he's a compiler.
Yeah. Another guy that's going to put up decent numbers, and again, watered down baseball as we look at it now.
Yeah, no, he does not deserve... No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Danny Jansen makes history this past Monday. Danny Jansen
technicality here,
played for both teams in the first game of a doubleheader this past Monday.
Yep, between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox.
Because the first game was suspended from a few months back when Mr. Jansen played for the Blue Jays. And he was actually at bat at the time the game was suspended. Then he got traded to Boston.
Yep.
So the box score for the game, the first game of this doubleheader, shows Danny Jansen playing for both the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Very cool. Very.
Yep.
I mean,
one of those little
quirk.
quirky things. Yep. But that's the beauty of baseball, is you get weird crap like that.
Yep. Then you get crap like this that just pisses me off beyond all belief. And no, I am not a fucktard liberal. I don't sit here and hold hands with Dave and sing Kumbaya or We Are the World. But at the same time, the obscene amount of money that is spent on memorabilia and other bullshit.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Babe Ruth's called shot jersey, of course, where he wore it.
When he supposedly called the home run.
Right. Sells for $24.12 million at auction.
Somebody needs their fucking head examined over that.
And I'm sorry, again, I'm not a bleeding heart liberal, but...
Come on.
That money could have done a lot of good for a lot of people. And some rich asshole is
going to put it behind glass and hang it on his wall.
Yeah.
In a locked room. Temperature controlled that nobody but him is going to see.
Yep. And he'll probably pull out his wanker every month and
just
spooge all over it. Yeah.
And then wipe it down.
It's kind of hard to wipe that down off a glass. Through Sunday, speaking of another Yankees legend, Aaron Judge on pace for 63 home runs. Again, this was through Sunday. Might have changed a little bit since then, but kind of hard to deny the fact that he is having an ungodly good year again.
Yeah, he's following it up. I'm impressed. I thought after last year, when he got paid, that he was going to fall off a cliff this year, but no, he has not.
No, and then you've got all the interesting talk about the dynamics in the offseason with Juan Soto, who's having, if it wasn't for Aaron Judge, would be having an MVP year.
Yeah, and they're on the same team.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And if this team does not make it to the World Series, somebody's going to pay. Whether it's Aaron Boone, whether it's GM Brian Cashman.
Somebody has got
because
to pay.
Everybody in New York is all, oh my God, aren't the Yankees awesome? This is the greatest team ever. This is the greatest thing ever.
They have a lot of holes. They've got a lot of holes on that team.
And if you haven't figured it out by now, kids, since we're in the Midwest, we can't stand New York fans and New York media because everything they do is so awesome. Oh my God, the Jets are going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, how'd that work out last year?
The Yankees are unbelievable. When was the last time a New York team won a goddamn championship?
It's been a bit. Was it probably the Giants?
It's been at least, 14, 15 years? At least. The Giants would have probably been the last one, yeah. Not counting soccer.
Hockey.
We're not counting soccer. Islanders? No. Rangers? No. It's been a while for both of them.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Speaking of MVPs in the NL, Shohei Ohtani became the 6th ever player with a 40-40 season.
We're happy for him.
Yeah, now just, pay the man. Don't make him wait 10 years for his money. And of course, somehow, this jackass still manages to fall bass-ackwards into good luck.
Of course.
The Dodgers finally decided that we've had enough of Jason Hayward. So they DFA'd him. He gets picked up by the fucking Houston Astros. Come on, man!
Seriously.
This guy, I don't care about the legendary rain delay speech with the Cubs. I still cry bullshit on that.
Ugh.
He stole money from the Cubs. And he still, again, falls ass backwards into good luck.
Absolutely pathetic. Yes, we were right. It was the Giants winning the last championship for New York against the Patriots in the 2012 Super Bowl.
So 12 years. Okay, 12 years. All right. Still, that's a long time for a team, for a city that has multiple teams in every sport.
Yeah,
and hasn't won a title.
The major four, because we don't count MLS soccer.
No, we're not counting soccer. Yeah. 2 baseball, technically 3 hockey if you count New Jersey. 2 basketball, right? 2 in everything, 3 in hockey. And they haven't won in 12 years.
Yep, there you go.
So shut your pie hole, New York. Then finally we talked about Shohei Ohtani. Got to give some props to Elly De La Cruz of the Reds. And this is what makes me so sad about guys like Elly De La Cruz and
all
Witt.
That talent.
Well, and Witt with the Royals and Skeens, who pitched today for the Pirates. With these teams, you just don't know if they're going to pony up the money. Or are they going to...
They're not going to surround you with anybody else to make a legitimate run.
And these guys going to be the targets of the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets.
Red Sox.
Yeah. Elly De La Cruz became the 5th player ever. We talked about Ohtani, 6th ever 40-40. Elly De La Cruz from the Reds becomes the 5th player ever, 20 home runs, 60 stolen bases in a season.
Hey, guess what? We're down to 8 batters hitting 300 or better. Down from 9 last week.
Our weekly check-in.
Still so pathetic. Witt Jr. still leads at 346. Judge is behind at 333.
It'd be interesting down the stretch here the last month to see if Judge can pull off the Triple Crown.
Yep, that's what we're watching right now.
Yep. And the Royals playing so well that I don't see Witt cooling off all that much.
No, so this is going to be interesting. The batting title is between Witt and Judge.
All right, we got NASCAR coming up here in a few minutes. Let's just cover a couple odds and ends before we get there. Since we're wrapping up baseball, I'm going to do... This is not the be-all, end-all Clint Eastwood badass, but I think it's about time somebody spoke up. So my Clint Eastwood badass of the week is Jordan Montgomery. For coming out, having the balls to come out and say Scott Boras butchered, quote-unquote, butchered his free agency.
Yep, that sums it up perfectly.
It's about time some of these players came out
and said Boras is a jackass.
Of course, that dipshit Blake Snell, who's got the brain matter of a retarded snail. Oh, I love what Scott Boras did for me. I think he did a great job. Ooh, I don't want no Rona. Remember that idiot? Yeah. Didn't want to pitch. I don't want to get no Rona. Back in 2020.
Moron.
Little League World Series. More baseball for you. Go USA. Go USA. Okay.
There you go.
Lake Mary. Down in Florida. I can't believe the first ever Little League World Series title for a team from Florida?
Wow.
That blows me away.
Wow, that's just
Never
amazing.
would. I would have lost the house on that if somebody asked me to bet. I said, there's no way in hell a team from Florida has never won the Little League World Series. Sure enough.
Son of a bitch.
Lake Mary, first Florida team ever to win the Little League World Series over. This is where things get fun. And I will give ESPN, God help me, a little bit of credit for this. Carl Ravitch, Jessica Mendoza doing the game where Lake Mary beat Chinese Taipei 2-1. The thing is, if you listen to the broadcast, they were going back and forth between calling them Chinese Taipei and Taiwan.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, and I'm wondering
not good at all.
So ESPN, of course, the sellout libtards that they are,
dumbasses.
You got the commentators balancing the fact they're trying to go, we recognize Taiwan. They want to be called Taiwan. Because one of them at one point, one of the commentators at one point said that.
No, it's said, Taipei.
No, but see, you're selling out to the corporate greed, man.
Get
the Chinese
countries.
The Chinese want them to be called Chinese Taipei.
Yeah.
Because they don't recognize Taiwan as its own country.
It's all just crap.
I just find it funny. It's like the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
ESPN infighting. Now if we just get Mina Kimes to get run over by a fucking bus, we'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, every week I read more about her. She is just such a fucking bitch.
Vile, evil individual.
She makes Nancy Pelosi look like a choir girl.
That's bad.
Oh my God. In golf, the BMW Championship, round 2 of the FedEx playoffs, Keegan Bradley wins. So he will qualify, jumps way up in the rankings, so he qualifies for the third and final round, the championship round. Now we talked about last couple weeks, about Hideki Matsuyama and all that he's gone through. He had to withdraw. Now, here's the thing, though. He had enough points ranking saved up where he'll still be able to play for the championship. But it's just sad because after all he went through with his caddy and his coach.
Yeah, not have all of them having lost their passports and everything
Yeah,
that
and
went
a theft
into it.
in England. The sad thing is he pulled his back after the first round. And he was 5 under. He was just off the lead. And he had to pull out. But again, luckily he will have enough points or he's high enough in the rankings where he can play for the FedEx Cup. Yes, Dave, I'm still watching the WNBA.
Of course you are.
Records. We've got more records falling with the rookies tearing it up. Caitlin Clark has tied the rookie mark for three-pointers at 85.
Well, good for her.
And Angel Reese becomes the first ever with back-to-back 20 rebound games.
Damn.
She actually stretched that out to 3 in a row. So she is now 3.
Oof.
The streak is 3 for 20 rebound games for Angel Reese. Now that's an overall record.
Yeah.
That's not just a rookie record.
No, that is period for anyone.
Yep. So I'm still not a big fan of her attitude, but I cannot deny
she is a fantastic player.
Yep. And then it looks like she might possibly set the double-double record for rookie. Now, this is a rookie record. The rookie double-double record looks like she'll knock that one out here very, very soon. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm drawn to it. I am just drawn to the WNBA. It's ridiculous. I don't know what it is.
Maybe because they're, I don't know.
They play hard.
Personalities.
They play physical. Man, they knock each other on their asses.
Oh, it's old school NBA.
And they don't like each other. Yeah.
It's old school NBA.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It reminds more like what the
Bad
game
Boys.
used to
It's
be.
like the Bad Boys Pistons, the old Knicks with Ewing and Riley and the Bulls. I mean, it's just they play hard and nasty. So I kind of like it.
There you go.
Yeah, it reminds me of old school basketball.
Yeah, they could teach the men a thing or two about how to play.
And the final little tidbit in basketball, thank God, not NBA stuff again this week. Every week without NBA news.
It's a good week.
Yeah, an Angel gets his wings. But this is disheartening. Going back to college sports for a minute. UConn talking to the Big 12 about moving out of the Big East again.
No. Just stop the stupidity.
Yeah, pulling again out, destroying the Big East again, potentially.
No.
The agreement in place would move UConn into the Big 12 in all sports except for football by 2026.
That's stupid.
Of course, the big draw there, of course, is the men's and women's basketball teams.
That makes zero sense.
And if UConn reinvests money into the football program, they will bring the football program into the Big 12 by 2031.
No, it makes zero sense to do.
All right, so that leaves us with NASCAR before we move on to Moments of Silence and, of course, the Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. Crazy, crazy times in NASCAR as we head towards the playoffs. One race left. Of course, that would be the Southern 500 this Labor Day weekend at Darlington. But
we have to recap the chaos of Daytona. Oh, good Lord. You know it's going to happen. You know the big ones are lurking. And it didn't disappoint.
No, we had not one but 2 cars go up on their hoods.
Yep. Oh, God. Josh Berry had the wildest of the rides where he got upside down and slid into the inside wall front end. Thankfully, the give of the car, the safer barrier, but then the way he bounced off of it and then just spun, was it like 8 or 9 spins before he finally came to a stop and thankfully walked away.
Yeah, now, that's one thing we've got to point out, the safety of these cars. They might have issues in terms of passing, but they are safe.
Yeah.
So we've got to keep that in mind, number one. Number two, they did a phenomenal job at Daytona deciding it might not look pretty anymore, but pulling up all that grass and paving it over.
Grass down the backstretch had to go from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, and we saw that this past Saturday night with the Coke Zero race because
a lot of guys got into it, bounced, and
it actually, they would have been caught in the grass and they would have flipped a lot more than they did.
Yeah, so kudos for the safety standpoint there.
Yep. Michael McDowell had the pole. After all the chaos was said and done, Harrison Burton wins the race.
Yep, gives the Wood brothers their 100th victory. Harrison Burton, who a couple weeks ago was announced he no longer has a ride with the Wood brothers. But the team never stopped trying.
Nope, and now they are in the playoffs, despite the fact that among the full-time teams, they are number 34 in points. Yes, that is dead last.
For the regulars.
Yep, 306 points. I guess they changed that rule.
Yep.
I thought it was top 30 among full-time drivers, but now I guess it's any full-time driver who wins a race gets in.
There you go.
And just to chaff Austin Dillon's panties a little bit more, Austin Dillon, his final appeal is denied.
Yep, he is not going to make the chase unless they can pull off a miracle win at Darlington.
Yep.
And he is not a driver that will be able to run that track to victory.
Nope. So this goes to show you can't just drive through and wreck everybody in order to win a race.
Yeah, it just does not fly.
They might have lost millions and millions of dollars over their Childress because of this, but here's the lesson to be learned. Number one, they got to keep the win.
Yeah, which never should have happened to begin with.
They should count their blessings. They got to keep the win.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. Speaking of penalties, how about this coming out of the clear frickin' blue? Denny Hamlin, going all the way back to Bristol, gets nailed with an L2, a level 2 penalty. 75 driver points, 75 owner points, 10 playoff points, $100,000 fine for the crew chief because they took the car states away without letting NASCAR do the proper engine inspection. They took it, I believe.
That's a big no-no.
I believe they took it all the way out to California, tore it down.
Ooh, that is a major no-no.
Yes, huge infraction. You have to let NASCAR look at that engine, look at that car. They will give you the go-ahead when you can go take it, start working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Toyota's taking the hit on this, saying this is on them. But that's not really going to help Denny Hamlin.
Does not help Denny at all.
This is going to really knock him down when it comes to
Losing
the playoff.
Those playoff points is huge.
Yeah, the playoff reseeding, this is not going to help Denny out at all. Now, we kind of talked about this story a ways back earlier this year, but now it's official. Hendrick Motorsports suing Hooters for $1.7 million, failing to pay off on a agreed-upon sponsorship contract.
Yep. Hooters was supposed to pay X amount every quarter. They failed to do so. Ugh.
Now, I don't know if we noticed it. I don't know if it really helped. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But on a technical aspect front, right side rear window air deflectors were mandated for the cars beginning at Daytona.
Yeah, after the wicked wreck in the Xfinity Series at Michigan.
Yep. So maybe that helped out as well in terms of the...
That helped that one wreck. So there were a couple where you could tell it seemed to do its job. But just the way Barry was hit, nothing was going to keep that from going over. It was just physics.
Big news at Trackhouse Racing. Leaving Trackhouse, the number 71 car, Zane Smith. He is out the door at the end of the 2024 season, but much more exciting news, bigger news for Trackhouse. They have now got a full-time third charter, and that will be given in 2025 to the number 88 car. Shane Van Gisbergen is finally jumping into the Cup Series full-time in 2025.
Yep, good for them. That's going to be a solid 3-driver lineup.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. We hear all the... I know, people lost their jobs, but it happens everywhere. The sob stories about Stuart Haas. But Trackhouse rises up.
Yeah, they're adding a team.
So they've got the jobs that Stuart Haas is losing. So one falls by the wayside, another one rises up.
Yep, that's what happens.
We've got guaranteed for 2025. The schedule's supposed to be out any day now. Guaranteed for 2025, but no further than that, is the Chicago Street Race. NASCAR supposedly talking to multiple cities, thinking about taking the street race on the road.
Ha 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 ha.
I know. I didn't mean to make it funny, but I guess it kind of was.
Did.
They've been talking to San Diego, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and somewhere, not specifying where, in the Pacific Northwest for 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But the biggest news for the schedule, even though, again, it's not official, this part, I guess, is, I don't know how I feel about this.
The race in Mexico.
The Cup Series for 2025 will add Mexico City on June the 15th of 2025, getting rid of one of the two Richmond races.
Don't like it.
At the Autodromo. Autodromo, technically called Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Very odd track. Very odd track. Long straightaway, but then after that, it is a lot of twists and turns.
Not
unless they're going to reconfigure it for the Cup guys.
Probably not.
And of course, we had to pull up Daniel Suarez.
Well, yeah.
To be there for the announcement. Jesus Christ. I don't like him. I just don't. I don't know what it is about him. I don't like him. You know? I guess I'm anti-diversity. I guess that's my problem. I don't like him. I don't like Bubba Wallace.
He doesn't have a personality. He's just kind of eh.
I know. That's
There's nothing.
At least Bubba's the villain. Bubba is a good villain. You know?
He's just a dip.
But you're right.
But Suarez is just very milquetoast.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to...
Yeah.
There's nothing. He doesn't do anything polarizing. There's nothing to generate any excitement.
And I'm sorry, he does not speak English very well at all. It is very hard to understand anything he says. Sorry. Again, piss off more people, Kev. That's my job here.
That's right.
And Dave, of course, will mollify everybody. Oh, well, I don't agree with Kev. I love everybody.
No.
Kumbaya.
He needs
Let's
to work.
light some vanilla scented candles
He
here in the
needs to
studio.
work on his English.
All right, so that moves us on to the final race of the 2024 regular season. The Southern 500 this Sunday night, September the 1st, from Darlington. The Lady in Black.
The track too tough to tame.
Now, technically in our competition, we're good. You've still got some wiggle room. You could make up maybe a point or two in the standings if you have a good run.
Potentially.
But under the new system, regardless, you're locked in with the wins.
Yep, despite the crap luck.
So I'm going safe because I'm trying to protect my lead. Those 15 bonus points for being number one in the point standings. So I'm trying to go as safe as I can while still trying to score a victory. And I have 3 other people on my side.
You do. You and your cohorts are going with the poet, Lord William Byron.
That's right. William Byron for me, Sam, Jen, and Nick.
Yep. While Aaron and I are going with Mr. Tyler Reddick.
It's a good pick. I just didn't have a pick left for him.
Yeah.
Doug takes Denny Hamlin. And Bill takes Ross Chastain. One quick note. Jen and Doug need wins.
Yeah,
Jen could technically, if she scores an unbelievable points night, get in on points.
Yeah, but
a win would make things a lot easier.
The last couple weeks have not been kind.
Yeah. So Doug definitely needs a win.
Doug has to win to get in.
Otherwise, those two will be fighting for a 6-pack of beer, provided
by the rest of us.
If they get more wins than the rest of us.
Yes, they have to get more wins.
Over the final 10 races. All right, that moves us on to Moments of Silence. Only one this week, but a big one. Because it affects an NFL team. And this has been something they've been dealing with through this entire preseason. It is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, they had made contingency plans, brought in somebody else due to the illness of their offensive line coach, Joe D'Alessandris.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the illness progressed in the worst possible way, and Coach D'Alessandris died this past week.
Yep. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
I guess if there's any consolation, it's that it wasn't sudden. You know?
Yeah, they were able to kind of plan for it.
Yeah. But, as always, at this point in time in the podcast, Dave, we have to do what?
We have to pivot. We pivot to decide which of our contestants will be crowned the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
6 contestants this week. That's about normal. 6 contestants here on the sports side. Competing, vying for the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week. Maybe this is just me, this first one. You know, it doesn't take much to get under my skin. I hate soccer. We all know that.
Oh, soccer sucks. It really, really sucks.
But you want to talk about a terrible, terrible precedent being set by the NWSL. That is, of course, the National Women's Soccer League. They just agreed to a new labor deal. All contracts fully guaranteed.
Ugh.
The draft is eliminated.
What?
Players can just go to whatever team they want.
No.
And
no.
And you don't have to put it into a contract. Players can veto any trade.
That's awful. That's stupid. That makes no sense whatsoever.
So you understand what I'm saying? How this is an awful precedent?
It's bad on every front.
But
You do not let the inmates run the asylum in this regard.
Of course, all the soccer pundits are, hey, this puts them in line with the rest of the world. I don't want to be like the rest of the world!
The rest of the worlds are morons! Oh my God.
I just say this sets a very dangerous precedent.
This is awful on every level.
I hope cooler heads prevail in all the other leagues and all the other sports and realize this is not the way.
It's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form.
No, you're going to destroy competition is what you're going to do. Oh, Dave, one of our favorite dumbass buddies is back.
Who this time?
Oh, Deion Sanders.
Oh.
At the behest of who they call in their press releases Coach Prime, which I find pandering and disgusting, that the University of Colorado actually doesn't refer to him in their press releases as Coach Sanders. They call him Coach Prime in their press.
That's ridiculous.
But now the university has banned Denver Post columnist Sean Keeler from asking any questions at any press conference involving Colorado athletics because of his consistent quote-unquote attacks on Coach Prime.
No, you cannot do that. That is a full-on violation of the First Amendment.
There are people out there who are starting to come out and say that, including one of our favorite doofuses, Paul Feinbaum, actually said that.
You cannot do that. It's a violation of our First Amendment rights.
But Coach Prime
Prime is a
it.
douchebag.
Coach Prime can't handle criticism.
Coach Prime is a bitch.
You know I think that. You know I don't like him. I never
He
have
is
and I never will.
overrated pansy.
And that's the thing. He's a pansy. He's not a tough guy. He's a pansy.
He cannot.
He cannot needs to tell him not to pick on me anymore.
He cannot take anything.
No. God help us, he's probably run for president.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking a lot in this episode about the Dallas Cowboys, whether it's fantasy football, contract extensions, injuries. They better hope Dak Prescott stays healthy the whole year. Maybe they're not going to pay him since he's in the last year of his contract. Oh, but you don't understand, Maestro. You don't understand the numbers. August 24th, preseason game versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback Trey Lance had a great game. Phenomenal game. Ran for a ton of yards, threw for a ton of yards, scored a couple touchdowns. But we're supposed to gloss over the fact in a preseason game, and I'm assuming against the second or third team Chargers defense, Trey Lance threw not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 picks.
Oh, good Lord.
And this is the Dallas Cowboys. This is the Dallas Cowboys primary backup. Maybe they still have Cooper Rush. I don't know. Maybe all hope is not lost, but San Francisco has got to feel ecstatic they got something, anything back.
No kidding. Ugh.
Even if it was a late round pick to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, not good at all. Oof.
Okay, we're going on to law enforcement here. Ooh. Now, Dave and I are friends to law enforcement. We love the police. Watch On Patrol Live. Goddamn, one of the toughest jobs in the world.
Yeah, thankless jobs.
But in this case, this is the situation.
You have those officers who should not be.
Louisville police officer Javar Downs arrested for stealing $4,000 from a suspect. Now, supposedly what he did was he got from the crime scene, from arresting this guy, got $10,000, turned in $6,000, kept $4,000. And you're going, Maestro, what the hell does this have to do with sports? Remember that I said Louisville police officer. This is the same man who turned off his body cam when he arrested Scotty Scheffler.
Oh. He's a two-time dumbass.
Yep. Yep.
How did he think he could get away with that?
Dave, you know that happens a lot.
Ugh.
And it makes the other police officers look bad, and not us. We understand that there are going to be a few bad apples in every profession.
Oh, absolutely.
But the media will jump on stuff like this and go, oh, look, all police are corrupt. They're all evil. They're all Nazis.
And that's a problem with the media.
Going back to racing. I want to congratulate this kid. I really do. Truck Series driver Lane Riggs won his first ever race on the NASCAR Truck Series circuit at the Milwaukee Mile.
Good for him.
Yeah, problem is he did the usual. He had burnouts and pull up in front of the flag stand.
Yeah.
And he got out of the truck and got on top of the truck, started jumping up and down.
Caved the truck in.
No, he somehow dislocated his shoulder. The video is priceless. He's jumping up and down.
And my shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, my arm.
You can just see him go, oh, yeah, just like that. Oh, my arm. Just like Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack.
Oh.
And then finally, yes, I'm going to be a dick one more time before we close out Sports Frenzy 2.0. But don't forget, the weekend edition coming up Saturday morning. Dave and I review Lynch Mob live in Wabash, Indiana on their final ride tour. And we also review Kevin Costner's epic Horizon Part 1.
Yes.
Final dumbass here. Sloane Stephens was supposed to be this great young tennis prodigy. Actually won the 2017 U.S. Open. My, how things have changed.
Womp, womp, womp.
Of course, we all know the U.S. Open has just opened up. Sloane Stephens was up 6-0, 3-0. Keep in mind, women only have to play 3 sets.
Right.
So she was up 6-0, 3-0 on Clara Burel. She lost.
Oh!
One of the biggest, most epic choke jobs you will ever see. Up 6-0, 3-0, and she lost in 3 sets. So your 6th Red Foreman dumbass contestant of the week, Louisville police officer Jamar Downs, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Trey Lance, Deion Sanders in the University of Colorado, the new contract with the NWSL, Lane Riggs in the Truck Series, and Sloane Stephens in the world of tennis. Who is it, Dave? Who is it?
I'm going with the University of Colorado and Deion Sanders for trying to manipulate, thinking that they're better than everybody else, but they're just a bunch of dumbasses.
And I'll tell you what, they're going to find out real soon, because Deion Sanders is not going to stick around.
Oh, no.
If he sticks around beyond this year, I would be shocked. They're going to find out.
He's just coaching to get his kid drafted.
You're loyal to him. He ain't loyal to you.
No, he's only there to get his kid drafted.
And he still thinks, I guarantee he still thinks he's going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
And who knows with Jerry Jones?
Yeah.
It's a crapshoot.
I want to go with you, but I am going to go with the Louisville police officer, Javar Downs, just because I hate the undermining of faith in our police. And we see it from the government, we see it from the media, and just to actually give them more fuel for their fire pisses me off beyond all belief.
Yeah, ruining the good names of legitimate police officers.
Yeah. But I'm definitely with you. If it wasn't for that one, I would be right with you on Colorado.
Well, there we go. We can have
Coach
two.
Prime. All right, kids, that's going to do it. Of course, things are going to get longer. That's what she said.
But
Because football season is kicked in next week. We might not have fantasy football in terms of our discussion, which drew things out a little bit longer. But we will have our season predictions for the NFL. And then we will be full on into football picks with NFL Week
And
1
college.
and College Week 2.
God help us.
Don't forget to check out the weekend edition.
Your Saturday morning hangover cure.
But until then, that's your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev.
Say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.